I've got a hunger, twisting my stomach into knots that my tongue is tied off.
I'm Owen Burr from School of Rock, down at the Crocodile, site of the Smith's Cure show. I was lucky enough to sit down and have a little chat with Chris Walla from Death Cab for Cutie. We talked about his life as a musician in the Northwest. On January 6th, the School of Rock is going to be performing a Best of Northwest show, and they're going to be playing music like Mudhoney and Pearl Jam and even some Death Cab. So I was just wondering how that makes you feel, knowing that you're a big part of the Northwest music scene.
I think it's pretty amazing, and I think that, like, just now that you've asked the question, and I'm sitting here in the Crocodile, which has been a music venue since I think dinosaurs were still on the planet. When I was growing up and learning to play music, I was looking at the bands that were playing venues like this, and Neumo's and the Showbox, and trying to figure out how bands ended up playing shows in venues like that, and I didn't really see that there was an obvious path to do it. And I guess we kind of figured it out the way that any band does. But I still just can't believe that, you know, we've been a band for almost 13 years, moving into 14 years, I guess, and I still don't, you know, I still don't understand exactly how it happened, and I still feel super lucky every day to be doing it. So, and just that, I mean, that you guys are taking on one of our songs is just so, it's really heartwarming. It's really awesome. It's like that.
So what bands were you listening to when you were growing up?
When I was growing up in Seattle, my favorite band in town was the Posies when I was growing up. And I think I saw the Posies like probably 30 or 35 times between 1990 and like 1995, something like that. So, and any band that they played with, I sort of got to be a fan of. So I got to be a fan of Flop, and I got to be a fan of Sky Cries Mary and the Young Fresh Fellows, and you know, a little later the Minus Five, and geez, I don't know. But like the guy who runs Barsook Records, Josh Rosenfeld, I met him because he was in one of the bands that opened up for the Posies, was This Busy Monster. And so, like, that's a connection that I practically stalked him at his job. He was selling records at Cellophane Square. But I knew that the Posies had, John from the Posies had recorded their first 7-inch. So, you know, that's sort of how I met Josh from Barsook Records. And that's part of the reason that relationship got formed with them.
So what advice would you give to young rockers today about making their own music and making their own art?
I think that probably the most important thing is to... Actually, there's like 3 most important things. One of them is to make sure that it's fun. And if it's not fun, figure out why it's not fun. Because there's usually something that's making it not fun if it feels like it's not fun. When it starts to feel like work, there are always things you can do to make it feel less like work. Because this is, you know, it's not, I mean, it's art. And like sometimes art is just about like getting in there and doing it because you have to get something done. But man, it's always so much cooler when it's fun. And if making it more fun means painting the walls of your practice space, then you take an hour and paint the walls of your practice space. If it would be more fun if you had fresh strings on your guitar, take a couple minutes and change the strings on your guitar. Or, you know, change the heads on your drums, or like, you know, turn off the overhead lights and like turn on a lamp. Or, you know, there's just so many things like environmentally and around you, and sometimes it's as simple as like, wow, I forgot to eat lunch and I'm super hungry and I'm getting mad at my bandmates because I haven't eaten anything in like 9 hours. So, like, trying to remember that it's supposed to be fun and figuring out, like, piece by piece how to continue to make it fun is so critical. And it makes communication easier with your bandmates. It makes the songwriting process easier. It just makes everything better if you can get good at figuring out how to make stuff fun. And then I would also say that just, I mean, it's super obvious and it's kind of maybe the first thing everybody tells you, but like practice is so awesome. And practice can be sitting with the guitar and learning how to play your favorite songs note by note by note, or it can mean sitting down and running scales, or it can mean, you know, it can mean any number of things. And that's another place where you can figure out how to make practice fun, because like those are two really different styles, like just sitting and running scales versus sitting down and learning how to play a favorite song. But both of those things are good ways to understand music. And the thing is, if you're the guy who learns how to play songs, you know, along with your favorite records, and you're in a band with a guy who shreds and can run scales, you guys can make a really great band together, and that's really cool too. And then I guess the other most important thing is just make sure that it kind of goes along with the making sure it's fun thing, but just making sure that you can communicate with the people that you're playing music with. Like, when you love something, tell them that you love it. Like, tell them, like, that's really cool. And if you don't like something, you don't attack them, but you figure out a diplomatic way to say, like, you know, I don't think that's totally working. And when you can get to a good place of communication with your band, you can tell somebody, you can get to a place where you can express an idea that I'm not sure that that's working without having it come out like, I totally hate you and I never want to play music with you again. And those two things are, like, sometimes, I mean, music's an emotional thing, and sometimes that stuff gets wrapped up together. But being able to, you know, and being able to, you know, work with somebody when you don't like something that's happening or something doesn't feel right comes a lot easier when you're able to tell people that you do like something they're doing. Like, when you're able to say that's super awesome, it makes it way easier to go, that's less awesome, let's try and make that more awesome. So, I don't know. That's all stuff that...
That's really good advice.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
It was a great interview with Chris Walla. Be sure to come check out our season shows at schoolofrock.com.